And look at that. I actually hit the record button. So we'll see how this works out. Diana Welker is on. Holy cow. She's doing great, man. She's doing incredible things in spite of all the things that's going on in her life. And I want to take a quick second, Michelle, to thank you for all that for the friendship that you and that you've exposed yourself to with Diana, and helping her be a part of all the things that she's going through. I think that there is something so cool about that. I can't even really I can't really even express how cool that is, that I see you guys and your conversations that are going on, knowing the distance that's between you and all the stuff that you guys are sharing. So very cool stuff. And Diana, thank you for continuing to keep us kind of in your process that you're going through. So I love that. It's good stuff. All right. Tonight I want to talk about a couple of things to kind of kick it off with. And the things I want to talk about is a little bit about, I've kind of been going back and forth with some of this stuff on, do I come on here and kind of give you guys like a kind of my thoughts that I've kind of been going through. And a lot of the stuff that comes to me is because of something else that I'm dealing with from somebody else. So somebody has a question, right? Or a complaint, and they give that to me, and then I try to figure out a way to turn that into a talking point so that you guys all have it. And the reason, I want you guys to know, the reason I'm doing that isn't necessarily actually it isn't at all for an inspirational thing. It's more about telling you guys these things because when you have team members that are going to come to you as you get into your leadership roles within your team, that things that you'll already kind of maybe have in the back of your mind that, oh, this might be a good way to have this conversation. And I'm not saying that my way is right by any stretch. I've screwed plenty of these up. So the reason I'm giving you this information is just to kind of say, hey, look, without saying, hey, Gail called me and was complaining about something, right? Then I'll turn it into a story and say, okay, look, this is something we dealt with. And just so you know, all of you Wisconsin, Michigan people, I have like a long sleeve on because it's raining here and it's kind of cool inside my house right now. I see Gail's like, I got on a t-shirt. I know you should be crying. It's cold out there. I'll bet it's raining. It's got to be like 55 degrees out there. It's frigid, I'm telling you. So anyway, so let's get on with this. I actually just was, before we started the call, I was talking to Michelle about the 3 topics that were in Tony Robbins' book that we're all reading, Money, and it's in this Myth 9, and it actually is very relevant to Isagenix as far as well, I can say this: most things that we talk about that are relevant to the weight loss are also relevant to the income, like crazy relevance, right? Because your decision to make something happen, whether it's a decision to make something happen to your bank account, or whether it's a decision to make something happen to your fitness account, right? They take the same steps. Okay. So as an example, I'm going to give you these 3 steps that I was just looking up that were not the ones that Michelle and I were talking about, but they fall together. The first one is focus. And I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, focus. Okay, I'm going to do something. Okay. And when I say something, I'm saying, and since this is a business group, we're going to talk about it being a monetary thing. But I also want you to think about this when you're maybe coaching somebody through their weight loss journey. Okay. They decide that they want to do something. And my analogy that I use oftentimes is you step on a scale and you see a number that you don't like, and you decide, I want to change that number. And so what do you do? Your next steps are, what are you doing to make those changes happen, right? Tracy, I think you need to mute yourself. So the thing that you want to do is you've got to get your focus down. You have to decide what you want to do. And again, whether that's fix your bank account or fix that number on your scale, you've got to make that. That's the first thing you have to do. You have to make that decision, right? And most people can do that, right? Most people can make a decision. They say, I want to do this. Now, the next step is where a lot of people get stopped. Okay. They make the decision that they want to change, but then the next step. So what's the next step? The next step is to get the tools or the resources. So the next step is you go on to QVC and you buy the Thigh Master, right? You go on and you buy a book that's going to teach you how to make money. You go on and you order Isagenix Nutrition. You go on and you order Herbalife, or you order Shakeology, or you order whatever it is, right? You order something, or you get something, and you decide that that is your resource, that is your tool that's going to take you to this next level, whatever that tool is, right? And so many people get stuck there. And I'm going to give you an example. How many of you know people that have said, oh yeah, I tried Isagenix and I've decided on something else, right? I read that book and now I'm reading another book. Oh, I'm doing this and now I'm going to do this. I'm not ready for that yet, because they're getting ready to get ready, okay? So it's not necessarily the fact that the resource is the problem, or it's not necessarily the fact that the tool is the problem. It's that they're stuck at that phase 2. You're stuck at, well, I need to learn more, or well, I'm trying it first, or well, I'm doing it, but I enrolled somebody, right? I've enrolled 2 people. I got to consultant, I made a couple bucks, right? But they're not willing to fully commit and go to the next step, right? They'll do something, and I'm going to use Michelle since I see her on here, and Woob's on here too. I'm always commending the people on here that have lost 100 pounds, because that's such a huge accomplishment, right? Because they focused, they decided on something, and then once they decided on it, then they got the resources together, whatever that resource might be. And that's why when somebody tells me, I've joked with some of you guys, some of you have heard me say this, but I talked to somebody that told me that they were on the carnivore diet. Now this person, the carnivore diet was 2 pounds of beef every other day. So they would eat 2 pounds of some sort of meat on day 1, and then they would fast day 2, and they would eat 2 pounds of meat day 3, and they would fast day 4, and that's just what they did over and over and over again. Now, a lot of us, myself included, would go, holy cow, are you kidding? But guess what? This person has done that, and they'd lost 125 pounds when I spoke with them. Okay, so that was their tool, and they did the critical step. They took action with that tool. Okay, if somebody tells me, oh yeah, I lost 100 pounds on a competitor shake, Shakeology, Herbalife, something like that, I would be like, that's fantastic, because what they did was they made a decision, they used a tool, and they took action, and they were successful, right? So the way to the top, and I tell people this all the time, and this is when it comes to the money side, there's all kinds of ways to get to the top where the money's at. There's 1,000 roads, right, to the top, and when I say the top, I mean to the top of whatever you see as being your pinnacle, right? And I'll kind of go on with the analogy, right? You get to the top of your mountain and you go, oh, there's another mountain over there. Now, if you decide to climb that one too, that's fantastic. But you might just be content with getting to the top of your pinnacle, whatever that is. But the thing is that so many people, what I see happen so much, is people get stuck with this idea that they need to learn more. I need to read another book. I need to try the products again. How many of you are like, oh, I'm not going to talk about the Isopro vegetarian until I've tried it? Why? Why is that? Because you're still stuck in the fact that you have to be the resource, right? You're still stuck in the fact that, oh, well, I need to be. How many of you have ever referred somebody to use any service of any kind before you used it? Or how many of you have taken somebody with you to the very first time that you went to the restaurant, or the very first time that you went to whatever it is, right? I referred Gail to the hairdresser that I heard of, because I got so many of them, because Michelle told me about it. So Michelle says, oh, hey, Carrie's a great hairdresser. And I see Gail asking, hey, I'm looking for a hairdresser. Then I can say, oh, you should check out Carrie because Michelle thinks she's amazing. I didn't use Carrie, right? I didn't use her for that. So why is it that so many people get stuck on this whole thing of, Well, I have to do it first because you feel like you need to be the resource. And that's a tough spot to be. And this goes back to the team page. The reason for great nutrition and the reason for working from the beach is so that all of us can take part in supporting each other through helping other people that are on that page, right? So if Michelle enrolls somebody and that somebody, whoever that person might be, asks a question in great nutrition and Michelle's not available to answer it, hopefully somebody else will answer the question and answer it correctly, right? But that's the point of that, because it makes you duplicatable. And that's why I'm always telling people, don't hesitate to put somebody in that page, because then that becomes their resource. That way, that takes that load off of you to be that person, right? You don't have to be the person that's constantly doing that, okay? Now, the next one, right? So you get your focus, you get your tools, your resource. The next one's kind of obvious. You've got to get into action. If I said, if one of you told me, hey, Brent, I want to make $250,000 next year, we can make a plan for that, right? We can sit down, we can make a plan for that. Whatever it is, 50,000, 250, whatever it is. And we can set up the resources for that. But if you don't take action, it's not going to happen, right? It just simply isn't. If Michelle sat down with you or Whoop sat down with you and said, hey, and you said, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds, or I've got a client says they want to lose 100 pounds, that's fantastic. They can sit down with you and talk with you, and they can show you all the resources, and they can tell you all the ways to do it, but they can't take the action for you, right? They can't make the right food choices for you. Like, I can say, Michelle's like, you know, she's gotten into running, which I think is awesome. So she's gotten into running, and I say, Michelle says, I want to run a marathon. I go, okay, great. I can tell her all about how to run a marathon, but me going and running is going to do nothing for Michelle, right? I'm going to get stronger. I'll get my speed, my time will get better. I'll improve. I can eat right. I can do all those things, but it's not going to do anything for Michelle. And that's the same thing when it comes to taking action. If you want to have a different outcome, you need to change the process that you're using. Because if the process that you're using is not getting you there, then you need to change it. And it's like I've used this analogy before. Some of you've heard this, is if I'm telling somebody about Isagenix and they say it's too expensive, and I always say compared to what? And then when they say, well, compared to, you know, I pack my lunch every day when I go to work and I pack a bologna and cheese sandwich. And I'm going to go, okay, you're right. Isagenix costs more than a bologna and cheese sandwich. However, here's my next question. Is the bologna and cheese, or are the bologna and cheese sandwiches getting you to your goal? And if you say no, then I'm going to say, well, what are you wanting to do, right? Do you want the results, or do you want to continue down the same path that you're on? Because if you want to continue down the same path that you're on, stick with the bologna and cheese sandwiches and you'll save money. But if you want the results, then you may have to change something that you're doing, right? And I know that many of you have seen this, you know, but you're talking to somebody and they're telling you about how much it's too expensive. At the same time, they're holding, you know, a Starbucks coffee cup, or they've got, you know, the latest iPhone, or they've got whatever, right? It's just decision making, right? And you're never going to argue that. Don't ever argue that. I've seen other people say that. Well, how much is your phone bill, and how much is this, and how much? I would tell you not to do that, right? I would encourage, unless you really, really knew them, I would never tell you to because now what I'm doing is I'm looking at Gail, and Gail's got the latest iPhone, and she's got all the great stuff, and she's got her Starbucks in her hand, and I'm talking to her, and she says, well, it seems kind of expensive. And I say, compared to what? And she goes, well, compared to what we normally spend, and I've got, you know, X number of kids, and if I say, well, how much is your phone? I see you've got the latest phone, or I see you've got the nicest, you know, Gucci bag, or whatever the case might be. I'm now telling Gail that maybe those decisions were bad decisions. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to go down that road, right? So the recommendation that I would tell you is to say, well, what are you doing to get towards your goals now? And if that action isn't getting you there, are you open to changing that action? Because that's the answer. The resources for most people isn't the problem, right? Most people don't have an issue with obtaining the resource, and most people honestly don't have a problem with deciding on something. Most people their problem is that they're not willing to take that step in order to make that a reality for them, right? I drank a shake and I didn't lose 50 pounds, right? Well, I tried that and it didn't work. Well, how many times did you try it, right? Or, well, I was doing really good and then I fell off, and now when I try to go back out and do it again, I'm not getting the same results. And my analogy on that is, I used to be, I hate that phrase, by the way, but I used to be a pretty decent cyclist, right? But over the course of the last year, I have focused my attention differently as far as my fitness goes. So when I get on the bike now and I cycle with some of these guys that are cycling all the time, I'm not nearly as strong as I used to be on the bike, right? But I can't expect to be as strong as I used to be when I don't do those functions that were keeping me there. Now, if those same people that were better on the bike with me want to come and join me at a different type of a workout, then I would probably do better as far as my overall personality on what I think I should be able to do than I could on the bike. But that's because I changed my focus. And that goes into what Michelle and I were talking about, is the whole thing about in the Tony Robbins book, Money. He talks about these 3 different steps. And one of them is your state of mind. Okay, so like, where are you at with something, right? So your state of mind might be, wow, you know what? I saw this scale and it just punched me in the gut, and man, I've got to make this change. Or I got a phone call that I'm going to lose my car because they're going to repo it. Or I'm tired of taking the phone calls for the credit card company, and so I quit answering the phone because I know it's that freaking credit card company calling me up because my payments are late. And so you've decided in that state of mind, you've made a decision on something. Okay, so you've made this decision based off of what Tony Robbins calls a cue, right? So you've gotten a cue, and now that's put you in this state of mind, right? You get a phone call that changes your life, right? And not necessarily positively, it could be negatively, right? But that phone call, that message, that whatever, that post, that whatever it is, that cue, you've got to now decide what are you going to do with that cue, right? So that's your current state of mind. But with that current state of mind, you create a strategy, right? And what is that strategy going to be? I'm going to sit here in my chair and cry. I'm going to I'm going to go out and I'm going to become the #1 fundraiser to raise money for this foundation, to for whatever that started this, right? Whether it's cancer, kittens, cats, dogs, whatever, some foundation that you've decided, that's my strategy. So that's how I'm going to combat this cue. Or your cue is, I want to change my bank account, and your strategy is, I'm going to become better at Isagenix, right? I'm going to become a better network marketer with Isagenix. And when you decide that, right? So now that's your state of mind, that's your strategy. Now your story. And again, this is the one that gets people caught up. Well, Brent can probably do that because start listing them out, whatever it is, right? He's this guy, he's that, he does this, it seems to come naturally to him, he can talk, whatever, all of those things, right? So I can't do that, right? I promise you, and we can talk about this if we want, but like with Michelle and Wu, but again, going back to them again, is if I would have asked them, and I ask Michelle these questions all the time on the call, is, do you believe, if you could have gone back 2 years, would you have seen yourself here? Right? And she always gives the answer, no. We talked about last week when she did her 5K, right? Is, would you have seen yourself there? No, because she had a different story, right? She had a different story that she was telling herself then than she's telling herself now. And so that story evolves, right? I've got a story, right? Why is our team not growing faster? Why are Tracy and I why are we not rank advancing? Why are we not making more? I've got a story. And I've got to get out of that story, right? I've got to get out of that story that, well, the markets have changed, and there's things happening with this and that, the other thing. I've got team members falling off, and I've got, people leaving the team for this and that, and the other thing. Okay. I still have to take the actions to make something different happen from that. So what are those different actions? I see Carla jumped on here. One of the things Carla did, Carla, I still haven't done it, and I'm being honest, right, is she started calling all of her people that she'd ever enrolled, and she just started calling them. I haven't done it. What is that? What's the reason? I don't know. Just haven't done it. So I need to pick up the phone and start calling these people and saying, hey, look, I know that you quit using Isagenix. Is there a particular reason that you quit or something along those lines? Whatever it is I need to do in order to try to bring them back, right? Or just find out that, look, they're never coming. But, and in part of my story is, Trace and I have enrolled like 400 people. And I'm thinking, do I really want to start this? Because if I start it, I know I'll finish it. And that's me, because I know once I decide to do something, and I have to go all the way to the end. And then I started thinking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually call all these people, right? But I need to do it, and I haven't done it. So Carla can call me out on that if she wants, but that's something that I haven't done. Okay, so it's everybody has it, right? Everybody has the story. It's just a matter, are you willing to change your story? Because if you don't have to call me Brent. I'll call you, Kelly. You're an easy phone call. I actually like talking to you. So the easy stories are, or the stories are what we need to change. But you guys, and I've been talking about this for a minute here, but this idea, this taking action is something so important because I see it all the time. Just before I got on this call right now tonight, I actually was talking to somebody that I recently enrolled, and I was asking them if they would be interested in getting on tonight's team call to learn a little bit about the nutrition, learn about the business and how to do that. And the response was, I haven't had the results that I wanted to have yet, so I haven't done it. And I really don't feel like I'm a salesperson. So that's the exact conversation that we had. And I said, well, that's fantastic. And my response to him was, just remember that when you first begin in Isagenix, it's not about being a salesperson. It's simply a matter of referring people to use something that you found that you like, and I will help make sure that you get paid for that referral. And that was my exact, not exact word for word, but pretty close. That was my thing, was don't worry about it. You refer them, and I will make sure that you get paid. And that's truly the way that I encourage everybody to do that same thing. Yeah, no, exactly. You said you did. Well, I thought you said you couldn't market polling until I called them all. But anyway, that's the story, you guys. And I encourage you all to figure out your story. What is it that's in your head that's stopping you? And write it down. Write it down. Write it on a piece of paper what it is that's stopping you from whatever that goal is. And I don't care what it is. It can be you pick the goal and you write down what it is that's stopping you from achieving that goal. If the goal is lose weight, gain weight, make money, whatever it is that you want to do, write down your goal and then write down what it is that's stopping you, and put it someplace that you're going to see it. And then think about it. Is this really that big of a deal? Right? I posted that deal the other day. Some of you saw it. Was Snoopy and Charlie Brown sitting there, and Charlie Brown's like, "You only live once," and he says, "You only live once," and is that right? Yeah. And then Snoopy says, "No, you only die once. You live every day." Right? You have the chance to take a life, to do your life every day. And so many people don't do that. And somebody else made a really good post the other day as well. And it was, your every bite either feeds your disease or feeds your health or feeds your disease. Which are you doing? And I really wish so many people would get that concept, you guys, because this is why the people on here are winning at the nutritional side, is because you've recognized the fact that it's every bite. And you can have a couple of bites that aren't really what you want, or that I shouldn't say what you want, that don't necessarily fit your goal, but you don't have to eat the whole thing, right? As we're going into holiday season, I want you guys to start thinking about this as you're coaching people. Actually we did it last year and it was pretty good. And that's kind of what this whole maintain, don't gain thing is the focus should be on one less bite. Okay. If I can get somebody to drink a shake before they go to the event, and they will have one less bite than they had last year, then it's a success, right? If they get to the event and they eat one slice of pie instead of the whole pie, because they ate the whole pie last year, then that's a success, right? And if we really start talking about that more, in fact, I'd love to have all of your help doing that in the page, is start talking about the idea of one less bite, right? And talk about, I'm going to have this event and I'm going to have a shake before I go because I want to make sure that I do better than last year. You don't have to be amazing, because so many people go to these events and they go, oh, I'm not going to drink at all. And then they go and they have a beer and then they go, oh, well, I'm a total failure. I might as well get hammered, right? Just because you decided to drink the beer doesn't mean that you need to get hammered, right? Just because you decided to take a bite of the pie doesn't mean that you have to eat the whole thing, right? And the turkey and the stuffing and everything else, right? So if we can start talking about that in a realistic way, I think we'll do a lot of things to help people that are there, and they'll do better with it. All right. Any comments on that? I mean, anybody else had anything this week? Kind of a small group. Anybody had any kind of interesting conversations that you had this week, or things that we can talk about? Nothing? Nobody?
Hey, Brent.
Go ahead.
I always find this time of the year, the conversations are pretty quiet until the first of the year. I've had some conversations with people, and that whole maintain, I like that theory behind it, but it always seems like this time of the year, everybody's like, I don't want to talk to you. But I always try to tell them, I started in October just before the holidays. And so it was, it was kind of nice to go through the holidays and lose weight and not gain weight,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, Whoop, is to talk to him that way, because I know that Ferguson did the same thing, right? That's his story too, right? And I think that if we can just show people that it's not about sacrificing your holiday, food desires, it's really about complementing your holiday food desires, so that when January comes, you don't have 10 or 15 more pounds to lose just to get back to where you started. Right? It's kind of like that post I made the other day about going to Vegas, right? Going to Vegas, kind of the same thing about your diet. We all go into it with the greatest of plans, right? Or going into the holidays. We all go into it with the greatest of plans, but at the end of the holiday season or at the end of your Vegas trip, you'd just like to be back to even, right? And that's where so many people are at, is they get this mindset that's like, oh, I'm going to go on the holidays, I'm going to do amazing this year. And they don't really have the resources. So they have the focus, right? They've got the focus, but they don't have the resources. So they don't have the resources to even take the action. So they go into the holiday season without the resources to be able to be successful through the holidays, and then they're out. So anybody else?
I posted something in the chat that we should start celebrating wins on this call, like at the beginning or the end.
Yeah, no, I like that too. And I've done that before, and I get out of the swing of it. What win would you want to celebrate on here, April? Would you want to celebrate anything?
Yeah, I'm bringing that up because I have a win today.
Oh, what's your win?
So last week I posted about the CBD, or whenever it was that it came out, and I had worked with this guy when I was in the Army in Panama, so it was like 25 years ago, and he reached out to me on Facebook, said that he would like more information, so I gave it to him, and then a few days later he told me to give him a call, and I totally forgot. And so he messaged me today that he had gone to my website, but he'd like to get my discount. And so anyways, I called him today, and so he wanted that, and then he said he had some inflammation, so I got more information about that. And then he was like, well, I'd like to get started with this and this product too. And so it turned into a whole discussion with not just the CBD, but like why he wanted it. And then he wanted his wife to talk to me to get, some questions answered. So it's just another thing about staying in contact with people, and, people are watching, so they'll eventually reach out to you, because I had been connected with this guy for, 5 years or something. So
That's
just a matter of time.
Well done, sis. Nice work.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, very similar to what you just said, April, Angela Munzer had a good win. She's not on here, but I'll tell you what her win was, because she shared it with me. Is she had a guy that she had gotten into the Great Nutrition page. He had watched the page, and then he decided to buy the product, and he purchased it off of Amazon. Okay, this is over a year ago. So he bought off of Amazon. So she sent me a message. And I actually remember this. And she said, hey, kick this guy out of the Great Nutrition Group because I know he bought the product and I know he bought on Amazon. So, all right, you want him out? He's out, right? Because if you put somebody in and you don't want him in there anymore, we can kick him out. So we kicked him out, but she stayed in touch with him. So she stayed in touch with him over time. And now he wanted to get back in. He wanted to get started. And he recognized the fact that he needed more support. So he needed more resources, right? He had the nutrition, but he needed the team as a resource. And he remembered the page and he remembered how valuable it was. And so he decided he was going to buy another 30-day just so that he could get started again. And he bought through Angela, obviously, this time. And now he's back. So that's an example of staying in touch with people and making sure that it's not just, oh, you know what, Michelle doesn't want to use Isagenix for me, or she bought it from Amazon, so I'm not going to talk to her anymore. You guys stay in touch with people. They come back around. They change their mind. They make decisions. And as they see you continue to be successful with your resources, then what do they want? They want your resources, right? They want to jump in because they want to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. So that's cool. Michelle, give me something. We don't have very many people, so we're gonna go through this.
I got one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I got another one about this guy that it's a new networking group that I'm in. And so I had a one-to-one with this guy. So it turns out he knew a friend in Advocare who was like, super high up. And of course, we all know what just happened with Advocare. And he's like, yeah, he's out of a job now. And so I told him to connect me with him and see if he was still looking for, a nutrition team. So
that's cool. Yeah. And those are the openings, you guys. Those are the openings. So, and listen for them, because so many people, again, you hear the opening, but you don't take the action, right? Somebody says, oh, you hear somebody say, yeah, I really wish I could, gain a little weight or lose a little weight or feel a little bit better or wake up or whatever. I mean, I saw so many comments the other day on a post that was something about being tired and out of energy, that's going to be my BNI commercial tomorrow. Is all going to be about the sleep spray and going into the holidays and needing some assistance through the holidays. And I'm going to talk about the sleep spray and the brain renewal or the brain boost. And that's going to be my conversation. So go ahead, Michelle. What do you got?
Someone that signed up under me a while ago signed up only with shakes just to try it. And today informed me that she wants to do the whole 30-day. She wants everything. So
who is it?
Amy Murray.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, congratulations on that. I love that. That's good stuff. So, and now talk to her about accountability partner, right? That's how they become consultants. You have anybody that you want to be as your accountability partner, because it's not easy doing it by yourself. So are you open to it? Are you open to discussing bringing a couple of accountability partners on to help you while you're going through this? Right. And somebody did this. I don't know if it was Carla or somebody else. Somebody else brought this up. It's been a couple months, but what they did is they encouraged their person, and this would be an example for you to do this, Michelle, with her, is encourage her just to say, hey, look, I'm not at, and put it right out on Facebook. I'm not asking for you to buy anything, but is there anybody here that would be willing to let me contact them every Friday to update them on my process? I'm not asking for anybody to jump in. I'm not asking for anybody to be a part of my team. I just want somebody that I can trust, that I can have this conversation with, or they can knock the cookie out of my mouth, right? And that kind of a comment, right, can get because then somebody, what's going to happen, right? If you can encourage them to make that post, somebody's going to go, well, I want somebody to knock the cookie out of my mouth too. And now you've got accountability partners, right? So you just kind of think about it on that way. Gail, you got anything good? I know you had some stuff going on. Carla, I'll get to you in a minute.
Not in particular.
No?
No.
Have you had any interesting conversations lately with anybody, or has there been what's been your most recent conversation?
Other than I guess it still gets back to the people that, well, when I have time or after the holidays or this, that's just kind of the chief thing. It's like, not
Okay.
any better time than now.
Yeah. No, and are you able to stay engaged with them with all the new products that are being released? Is that something that you're able to continue to let them know about?
Time frame wise, my last couple weeks, not much. I have tried to shoot out, if you guys put the pictures out there and stuff, I'll forward it or I'll tag their names in it and stuff. That's about what I can do.
Okay, cool. And here's something for all of you to know. If you have someone who you would like to be put on our email list, as long as they say it's okay, if you shoot us the email, or if you just shoot the email to Victoria at assistant@teamshadystyle.com, send an email to Victoria and say, hey, I talked to Gail and she's good with being on our mailing list, on our email list. She'd just like to be kept current. Feel free to send that, because then we can send those emails out. And then they're just on our constant contact, and we stay in touch with them for you, right? So just another thing that you don't have to do. We bought the program, so if you guys can help, if it can be helpful to you, then let us know. You got anything, Carrie? Nothing? All right, Carla, what do you got?
God, finally.
Seriously, why are you sideways?
Okay, I was just going to ask you, am I sideways? All right. So every Tuesday, I do a Testify Tuesday, and I share somebody else's story. And every single time I do that, I get a brand new lead. Every time. If I share my own before and after or something, not much happens, but every single time. So today I shared my sister's story, and sure enough, a mutual friend of ours sends me a message, and she said, okay, I'm ready to talk to you.
Awesome.
So please do that, you guys. Share somebody else's story. One thing that I'm going to be doing, wait, can I say one more thing?
Sure, of course.
Okay. So I have like a health and wellnessy type, mindful type page. And so one thing I'm going to be doing is interviewing people that use Isagenix that, like, okay, my first person is going to be a business coach. And she's a little bit younger than me. She's like 10 years younger than me. And, she has
a lot, by the way.
I know. But she's different than me. Okay, wait, I'm not going to use her. She's not a good example. I'm going to interview my insurance guy who's 26 years old, and he's single, no kids, and he does fitness, and he uses Isagenix to help him with his health goals. So he's different than me, very different than me. And so I'm going to interview him and ask him a series of questions, and then I'm going to uplift him and his business at the same time, showing our community, meaning all of you guys, because you guys can use these videos if you want to, when you see them, to show everybody that, it's not just about weight loss. It's, there's other things, there's other kinds of people that use it. It's not just, middle-aged women. You guys know, what I'm saying? I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Woo.
It's not just middle-aged women. That's what I meant. Woo. Same thing.
That's cool. I like that.
Not that there's anything wrong with middle-aged women.
No, there's nothing wrong with us. I'm just saying they need to know that, the 26-year-old single guy can consume Isagenix. It's just not for the lonely housewife.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. I agree with that. And I like that. And you said about doing that. And I had done something kind of similar where I was interviewing people for my BNI on my personal page, and it was okay, but it wasn't really I was interviewing them about their business. So I think what you're doing is a next step. And maybe we can start doing something like that. If you guys are up for it, maybe we could actually, I'll put it this way. Anybody on here that wants to do an interview, I'd like to do at least one, maybe 2 interviews a week in Great Nutrition. And that way, Carla could interview Kelly, right? And just actually do it in Great Nutrition. Now, if you also want to do that and put it on Carla's page, Carla's putting it on her business page, or if you want to do it on your personal page, that might be another option. But I could interview Michelle or Gail or somebody like that, right, in Great Nutrition, but then also put it on her personal page. Because if I interview Michelle on my personal page, then it's going to hit all my contacts, plus it's going to hit all Michelle's contacts.
Right. But I'm thinking about, I think I said Facebook Live, but I'm really thinking about just doing a regular video and then uploading it to YouTube and starting to create some content on our YouTube channel, which has 0 right now.
Yeah.
And then anybody could save and share that anywhere. Like you could message that to somebody. You know, what if a 26-year-old comes to you and like, hey man, could I do this or what? Well, hold on, let me show you this video.
No, that's cool. I like it.
Hey,
Yeah,
hey,
and
Carl.
who knows again, this goes back to what we talked about before, you guys. This goes back to focus. Carla's decided on doing something. She's put her resources together and she's going to take action. And guess what? If it totally fails, she'll just do it something different. And that's where so many people get caught up. And I'm not going to wrap all the way back around to the initial, but just realize that if you take an action and it fails, doesn't mean you're done. Just redo it. And just don't get caught up in your head. And then that's where you go into story, right? Oh, well, I did that and I got made fun of, because, I belched on my phone call or I belched on my presentation. And so somebody didn't like me, right? Or I got made fun of because somebody said, well, that's stupid. Why would you interview that person? Why would you interview a 26-year-old person that's into lifting weights? What is that? That's so dumb, right? And then it goes into that whole high school mindset that we all have on occasion that comes up. It's like, oh my God, somebody called me dumb, right? Get a different network, you guys. If they're not clapping for you, they're probably not the network that you need. So, Kelly, what do you got?
I got a couple wins. One, I got a new girl that came back that hasn't been since, she's been gone since Mocha last time, and Mocha brought her back again. And then I have a girl that's been on my team for over 3 years now, and she had initial success at the beginning, but then that was it. And I coached her. Brent, I know you coached her. April, I know you coached her. We've all been trying to coach her and really to hit her macros. And she said she was doing it, but I don't think she was. I don't know. But anyways, she's lost, in the last few months, she's lost 22 pounds because she's upped her protein and upped her food intake. So it was a huge win.
Who is it?
Shirley Alton.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it's nice because she struggled so much with it, and I struggled with it. And so, but I really don't think she wasn't eating enough food because she was working out pretty consistently. And I don't think she was hitting her macros. She said she was, but I don't think she was, obviously.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Good win. And not all the people in South Dakota are on meth. That's important to remember.
I mean, it's a huge problem. But that commercial was retarded.
Your governor there spent like $750,000 or something running an advertisement for that. So go South Dakota.
So dumb.
Marcy, you got anything?
Is this working?
It is working.
So I have somebody that was signed up under me. She wanted to go to Hawaii. She was young, Kristen Rivera. So her mom, I've known since I worked in the previous rehab hospital where I was. She used to use Isagenix when her second daughter was very, very young, and she quit using it. So now she's ordering under her daughter's account. But I saw her the other day and I said, you really need to get your own account set up so you don't have to, have her tracking what you're buying, and you don't have to explain to her why you're buying it. And she said, I'm in this place in my life where I really need to make some money. And she said, maybe we should do this. So I invited her to this call tonight, but she was busy packing somebody's suitcases for them the lady pays her $30 an hour to pack her suitcases when she goes on a trip. I know. So anyway, I invited her and she's in product. So
maybe she can throw some Isagenix in that lady's suitcase, and that'll be her first enrollment.
Right. I know.
Is the daughter that she's ordering the product on, has she converted to associate?
She has, but she doesn't order anything at all.
Okay.
So,
I know, but if her mom's ordering the account, maybe she gets some benefit of it. But here's the thing. If she's going to do that, I would encourage, if the daughter doesn't do anything, I would encourage you to be the enroller.
Right.
Don't put her on the inside leg of the daughter.
Yeah,
right?
no, I wouldn't do that. And then I'm working on my friend in New York that I've been working on for 3 years. So
That's awesome.
eventually he's going to get sick enough that he's going to want to do something.
That's what you got to work. That's what you got to work on. They either get sick enough or they get sick enough of you that they decide, screw it, I'm going to order this stuff so she'll shut up.
They love me, but
I
when
know.
they put the loop
How can they not?
in and it shows how much AFib he has, he might decide to.
That's right. What do you got, Mr. Booyah?
Just personal wins for me right now.
What are they?
Just hanging in there and maintaining, getting through my Isobody challenge. I've got until next month, December 16th.
How much have you lost?
I'm at 192 right now, so I'm maintaining.
Down from what, David? What were you originally?
204.
Good for you, man. How's your strength?
It's awesome. Yep.
Good. No, that's very cool. And you know that those personal wins are big, man, David. Don't let those, don't deny that. But here's the thing. That's another great Facebook post, right? Talking about the fact that, hey, look, I'm using this. You could even start it off like this, right? And David, knowing you could actually pull this off. You can start off like this weight loss or this Isojinx product isn't let me lose any weight at all. You know, something kind of, you're pissed off about it, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this will be a good one. You know, people love to read negative stuff, right? Nobody likes to read anything positive. They like to read negative stuff. So this Isojinx stuff doesn't work for losing weight at all. But what it has helped me do is help me maintain this body for this long, and my lifting has gone up, my ability to lift more weights has gone up, all that kind of stuff, right? So you could turn it into, you can start it off with kind of something kind of snarky, and then turn it into the win is the fact that, you know, because that's what I used it for, right? I use it because, I mean, I go to this gym that I've been going to now, this 2 that I'm actually doing, just to try them out. But I know that I'm doing, like, I'm coming in either the top 1 or 2 positions every day in their challenges. And I just started, right? And I'm easily 10 to 15 years older than most everybody else in the gym. So and I'm wearing my Team Isogenics stuff, right? I'm not offering anybody any Isogenics, right? I haven't said to anybody, hey, buy this. I got my stuff on, and when I'm finished, I drink my shake as I'm walking out the door. Everybody have a great week, right? As I'm walking out the door, I've got my shaker cup and my stuff that I just shook up in my hand, and I'm walking out the door that way. I know that the conversations have to be happening, right? Somebody's saying, dude, what's this? Is he with Isogenics? Does he work there? All that kind of stuff, right? So I know those conversations have to be happening because that's what people do. And it'll be no time at all before I'll be signing somebody up there. So.
Yep. Yep.
Very cool. How about you, Woo? What you got?
So I want to share, Michelle and I have this messenger group. It's called Present and Future 100-Pound Club or people. And so anybody that wants to be in there, we put them in there. And Beth added a friend of hers that she just enrolled in there. And Michelle and I have been talking to him, and he just got done telling us he was doing pretty well, and that his non-scale victory was that he was able to walk 100 feet without utterly being winded. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah. And those are the wins, guys. And don't take those away from yourself. And if you can, figure out a way to talk about that in a social media environment, because somebody else is going to recognize that same thing, right? Somebody else is going to recognize that. Steph, you got a win?
Oh my gosh, yes. A few wins are happening, and there's something I've got to tell everyone I just learned about today. But there is a group that's doing 12 Days of Christmas, and it's teaching people social media. They're actually giving people posts. So that was a really fun one. We've been doing a lot of virtual parties recently, and have another one tomorrow at 11:30. So super, super big win of really getting out to a lot of new people. And then I've started the trend of doing open houses for each of the new products that are coming out. And my friends keep coming over every single time so they can try all the new products. It's just like an easy in. They're like, oh yeah, you got some new stuff. I want to try it before I buy it.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And that's a great a way to add in there. Okay, did I miss anybody? Diana, I don't know if Diana's on or not. So, and I see Galen, but she's, oh, there she is.
I'm
What's
here.
up?
Hey.
What wins have you got? Because I know you're winning. I saw you're down a few pounds, even in spite of all the crap you're going through.
Yeah. My steroid pump is the highest that it's ever been, and I managed to lose like, I don't know, 6 or 7 pounds. And it might just be fluid, but I'll take it. I did an enrollment, I think last week. One of my really good friends from high school, she is a beast. She's the same age as me, CrossFit 6 days a week. And what I did was I ordered her first set of products under my name. And I said, I'll order them for you this time. But when you run out and you're ready for more, we're going to build your own account. So that's exactly what happened. I ordered another pack for her, and she's starting to incorporate more and more products in. Like, she wants to try the nitro because I took her a couple samples, and she actually gave some of the bone broth to one of my friends who just had a big gut surgery, and she's really struggling. And she said she liked it, and it seemed to help her quite a bit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that is so cool. And thanks for sharing that. And congratulations on your personal win as well. So very cool. The fact that the bone broth is in packets, you guys, that stuff, that is a machine right there. You can hand those out. The new greens now are in sticks. So I ordered some of the new greens in sticks just because I can hand those out now as a sample. There are people out there that love that high tasting organic type, that taste, right? That, tastes like wheatgrass, right? But they like it, right? So there's plenty of people out there that like that flavor. So share that and make that available to people. That's a good way to do it. And all right, I think I got through everybody. So a couple comments, because I saw some stuff over here. Marcy's comment about CBD on the market. There's some lead and stuff in it. Again, that's a great thing from Isagenix because all of our products are third-party tested for that. One interesting note, and I actually wrote it down before I even saw that comment, was CBD Jewel, right? So I put CBD/Jewel. Did you know that the jewels are authorized by the FDA, but you can't put CBD in your mouth, but you can suck in a Juul cigarette pod into your lungs. So I thought that was kind of awesome. So when somebody asks you about the FDA, just remember, Juuls and McDonald's are both authorized by the FDA, but Isagenix is a supplement. So yeah, we're not really covered that way. So so when people ask you those silly questions that occasionally you'll get asked, that's something to add. All right, Tracy, take a screenshot. Everybody that's on here, if you do an enrollment this week, you get an extra $25, right? Because right now there's a $25 enrollment already. So if you're on the call, then you get an extra 25. Okay. So, and I'm gonna start doing that more every week, right? If we're running an incentive, I'm gonna do some sort of an ad for the people that actually take the time to get on the call. So if you're on the call right now, extra $25. If you do an enrollment this week, there's already a $25 incentive this week. Has to be 125 BV or more. So you get an extra 25 just because you're on the call. Okay. So if you have any questions or whatever, just make sure that when you send yours in, okay, and this just goes for you, right? If you send yours in, make sure that you put on the message that I get the original 25 plus I was on the Tuesday team call. Okay. So, and that's just because you guys are on here and you guys are leaders. Okay. So I think that's it, you guys. I don't have anything else. I know we're a little bit early, but I was a little bit over last week. So unless there's something you guys want to cover specifically, oh, I'm not going to let you go yet. NYKO incentive is up and available. Make sure you guys are aware of that. And again, I ran that post and I'm going to run it next week. So I'm going to give you guys a heads up. We ran the post last week that said, if you do a screenshot of your order, 125 BV or more, you're going to be in a drawing for a case of BIA or a salted caramel. Only 2 people turned in their 125 BV order. Okay, only 2. Now, maybe that's because they didn't know, because they didn't watch the video, whatever, right? But Marcy was one of them, and Colleen Worthington was the other. So I literally flipped a coin and said, that's who the winner is, right? So Marcy, congratulations to Marcy, because she won her choice of either the BIA or the salted caramel. And I think you already answered which one you wanted. So you're all good. But yeah, so, and the point of that is, if you're not telling people, if you're not telling your team members about these incentives, then I don't do these incentives just for my personal growth. I do these incentives because I want Michelle, I want Gail, I want Carrie, I want all of you guys to tell your team that these are available so that they can choose to either do it or not. Okay. And it gives you a reason to contact your team members, the people that you've enrolled, because if you say, hey, look, I know you're getting ready to order, or if you're getting ready to order, make sure that you put your screenshot on this video, right? And then that way they're in the drawing. It gives you an excuse to make contact with people. So use that excuse to reach out and say something about it, right? So one of the excuses you can use this week is, in the video, it says if you do an order this week, 125 BV or more, they're going to get $25. So if they choose, they can do that. But this gives you an opportunity to reach out to people and let them know that it's out. Also, we're running an incentive if they buy the holiday bundle, or either the holiday bundle or the coffee bundle. Either one of those, if they order that this week, then they're going to be in a drawing based off of the category they put in there. I think I said there's got to be at least 10 people have to do it, and if that happens, then we're going to do a drawing for something. I don't remember what it was, but it's in the video. So so just make sure that you guys are aware that these incentives are there, and that's why I put them. That's why I put them on. Okay, and that's it. That's all I got. All right. So I'll end this.